Hello and welcome to HCS Fort Worth. Danny G and Sherzy in the mix here on the B stream with some Pool B action. Sentinels up against Impact. It's the second place team from Salt Lake City up against Europe's third best team in Impact. Looking forward to this one, Dan.
I always feel like a rapper when you introduce me as Danny G. I feel like if I was to be a rapper, it would be Danny G in the mix. But yep, it's great to be here. Great to be on the B stream and great to cover some more action. Some of these games that maybe we wouldn't get to cover usually at a tournament, it is nice to see it happening. Now, these two squads, of course, we know a lot about Sentinels. We got to see them perform very well at Salt Lake City, but a lot of you probably won't know Impact team. You may recognize some of the faces, though. Respectful, Mo's, two players
who have been... see the faces now. It's just names right now.
They've been at the top of European Halo for quite some time. Septic has been around for... well, it feels like 10, 15 years now at this point, and Flux. I mean, these are all guys who have been at the height of European Halo. However, can they hang with the big dogs? Can they compete with Sentinels? I guess we're going to find out right now.
Up until Quadrant had finished top 6, it was actually Mo's and Respectful who held the record as Europe's top 6 place in all the way back in Halo 5, but Halo Infinite hasn't been as successful for them, particularly as of recent. Although we can say Respectful did win HCS Valencia, so the most recent European LAN that we had, he was the champion in.
And I mean, I get the chance to speak to a lot of these guys regularly, and I think it was actually after Salt Lake City I was sat in the airport with Respectful, asking him about, you know, where does he see himself going, what team the team's going to do, and he wanted to put together a team and be with players who believed they could push themselves to, you know, match the dizzy heights of Quadrant. He didn't just want to be a team that turns up to these tournaments, gets slapped around in pool play, and then goes home after a free holiday. This Impact squad, they want to be able to compete on the biggest level, and I tell you what, at the moment, it's looking pretty good in the early stages. Nice 15 seconds on the board for Impact. Sentinels haven't been able to find their footing just yet.
Impact doing a very good job of keeping it scrappy, but as we say that, 4 dead. Here's a chance and an opportunity for Sentinels to rotate the ball towards Long Haul and indeed Blue. Spartans just popped the camouflage and it's heading towards C plat just to, as an insurance policy. Shock rifle dropped as well, so Sentinels taking this one very seriously, making sure that the power weapons are in the hands of the people that do the most damage as Spartan fires one shot over towards heaven. And this is a tough test for Impact, and for Sentinels, perhaps one of those series that they look at and say, well, this is one of those easy ones.
How good was Spartan last event, by the way? He really popped off, and I think he brought this team to dizzy heights. This was my worry as well, when you get Sentinels into a position where they can set up, hit the triple. Does get it. He wants more as well.
Oh. Oh. Mo shuts it down. Ball back in hands. 58 seconds, though, to 19 and climbing. As he throws the ball up towards top glass, and that ball can rotate away. Flux, not short of experience either. These European players, they've been there and they've done it, Dan, but Halo Infinite has not been kind to them.
No, and it's also, there's been a lot of mix matching with these guys, trying to find the right players, trying to be on the right team. Like, Septic was on the J-Lings roster, Flux was there on the J-Lings roster for a while as well. Mo's and Respectful have been around the block. I mean, Respectful was on Na'Vi at one point, and now just watches on as the likes of Quadrant, the likes of Na'Vi find their success. Well, Quadrant find their success. Na'Vi at the moment, they make pool play regularly, but not necessarily having the success perhaps they would like as a European team. As for Sentinels, they were able to, I thought they were going to be able to hold on and get some real powerful ball time previously, but Impact, it was a good push. Even though Spartan was in a great position with the shock rifle, I was assuming that Sentinels would be able to get a few dead, carry on with the ball time, but it was a solid push from Impact, and they've shown some promise here in this first round of ball. Yeah,
particularly Mo's having a good start to round number 1, 10 kills, 4 assists, and just a 3 deaths, so it's whether or not they can start to build on that. Not out of this round number 1 by any means or any stretch of the imagination. Falcate gets one on long haul, rotates over towards goal, ball tossed up towards his direction. And here they have a setup of some description. 2 alive though, so Impact have the numbers advantage for the moment.
Falcated was amazing at Salt Lake City as well, one of his best tournaments by far. I think that a lot of people maybe think Sentinels overachieved at second place, but I don't think you can really deny how well they played and how much they deserved that second position. Taking down FaZe was something that I think meant a lot to this roster for many reasons, but also it just shows that you can compete with the top teams, and now Sentinels will be considered that. They were like looked at as maybe, you know, a top 6 team, could probably break into top 4 on a good day, but no, they finished 2nd place. And even though the final at Salt Lake wasn't necessarily as competitive as I think we would have liked, it was their first event. You know, it was their first event to really show what they were made of. I think that now this event, they've had that time to mature as a roster. They've got into that final. I think they would have learned a lot at Salt Lake.
Yeah, I think they definitely, the narrative was overachieved. I think that's vastly unfair.
Yeah.
They beat the reigning champions at the time in 2 best-of-5s. That is by no means luck. That is dominating, and that is playing the better Halo. And that was something that FaZe would have to go back and look at the drawing board and say, listen, these are some of the mistakes we made, and these are some of the opportunities that we gave Sentinels. And you give a team like Sentinels those chances and those opportunities to set up, they will punish you.
Lunch has been served, by the way, just to let you know.
Oh, lovely.
We've got 2 back-to-back series here on the B stream, though, so we don't get to eat.
Is anybody going to give us food?
I don't know. Well, to be fair, we could eat between games. I could eat whilst we cast these games if we really wanted to. I don't think anyone's actually policing the B stream.
It's free reign.
I'm not sure anyone
we do what we want.
from here is listening to the B stream.
People don't even know we're here.
It's only you guys watching at home that knows we're here, and I tell you what, we appreciate you being here right now.
We do have to apologize at the same time for some people might have expected to hear no comms, just gameplay, and that's how some people prefer to view these things, and we're messing it up for them at the same time.
They can always mute. 7 seconds required for Sentinels. And it looks like with Impact only having 1 alive, this is going to be the first round going to the Sen roster. And even though 50 points on the board for Impact, it never really looked comfortable. But slaying-wise, I mean, they outslayed Sentinels. But I think that that's a demonstration of the differences in these 2 teams. Sentinels don't care about slays right now. It's about setups. It's about getting that perfect position so you can get the ball time. And I feel like in objective games, Impact are going to struggle here against the Sen roster.
Stackful goes top tower. Gets sent to sleepy time. And they're answering back 3 dead for Impact and 2 for Sentinels here.
Hold on. Bounds walking past. I thought he was playing on the main stage. Have you won already?
They should be still playing, right?
It was SSG versus Cloud9 on the main stage, and Bounds already left.
They've just finished that series out 4v3, or is the game over? We'll have to get confirmation.
Who knows?
But he's not playing, we know that much. That's Kimbo. Kimbo's definitely not here.
Kimbo was on this roster.
Yeah, not there anymore.
Fallen out of favor. I mean, he was on Na'Vi, and then he was on this team, and unfortunately not even here at all.
We'll have to clean the graphics up there, because that's going to catch some people out.
It might do.
Kimbo's not in the lobby, although he would want to be.
He's not even in the open bracket. It's is it BH3?
BH3,
the 4th European team that are going to be in the open bracket. Excited to see how they do.
That's Baby Quadrant.
Baby Quadrant, yeah. I mean, very Baby Quadrant compared to what Quadrant have done now, and Quadrant considered one of the best teams in the world, which, you know, I'm still very proud of them, and I think that everyone is happy to see Europe finally getting recognition where it deserves, but it's from the hard work that has come out of those 4 players, and it was a long time coming. But it does lead me to then ask the question for these guys who, you know, have been around Halo for however long for European rosters. How does that make you feel? Like, you were never able to get to those heights of top 3. You always would have wanted to, but you never got that roster was quite good enough. Does that inspire you? Does it frustrate you? I always try to pick the brains of some of these guys, but there's a lot of team changes that sometimes hold them back a little bit. But 31 seconds on the board. It's been a far better round 2 here for Impact. And tell you what, 18 kills for Mose, 13 for Flux. I don't want to get people too excited, but Mose just gets another double kill. This, if it carries on going this way, could maybe be 1-1.
Mose turning up here today. Needs his teammates to join him. Like you said, round 1, they did outslay Sentinels, but didn't get the ball time to show it. Camouflage from Mose as well. Over towards Batledge, trying to bring the ball back, and does. Scoops it towards Pipes. Teammates will be there in support. As he now sets up over towards the gold and red pipe zone. Cheeky little crouch. Nade spins up, but cut out from Boo Boo Doo sitting on Batledge, and just like that, the camouflage is completely negated. 3 dead for Impact. There comes the push. Fresh 4 dead. Boo Boo Doo ball in hands.
That's a solid push from Sentinels, but it did take a little while to actually get there, but they were just trying to work out where that camouflage was. I think as soon as Boo Boo spotted him out after the grenade toss, that was all guns blazing. Let's go forward and let's make sure we take advantage of this push. And now Impact's going to have to try and do the same thing here to try and break the setup. But if Mose, if he was able to get that kill onto Boo Boo, but that's where the shock is so important on this map. If you can hit those shots, if you've got someone who is confident with it, it's such a huge difference maker.
Boo Boo Doo so often does hit those shots. Lines up Septic, hits just below the neck. He then decides to turn his attentions towards pipes, and Spartan will drop the ball. Now Impact looking to break their setup. 2 dead. Successfully done. Ball's being thrown out bat ledge. A bait and switch will result in a couple of kills going in favor of Impact. So Sentinels have got themselves right back into this round, separated by only 3 seconds. But this is good from them, because this Sentinels team coming off the back of a very impressive second place finish, and we'll be looking to get this series done quick and maybe as quick as possible then.
Yeah, I think this is good news for Impact as well, considering this is, the first seed in this pool. They've got complexity as well as an open bracket team that will join them. If you can have a good match with Sentinels here, if you can maybe take a map and you start to believe that you can challenge the biggest players in the world. I mean, they finished second, for goodness sake, at Salt Lake City. If you can take a map off them, then going up against complexity, that's going to do you a world of confidence. But whether that map will come now in this game still remains to be seen. 2 minutes left, 46 to 43. Big fan of Flux, by the way. I think that he's really come into his own as a player as he's developed and matured. Not only is he good at slaying, but he's always seems to be in the right place for the assists as well. Really knows the game. But I think my worry for this Impact squad is about that objective play. Like, is it going to be as efficient as the likes of Sentinels? I mean, you'd have to imagine no, because Sentinels has been a team longer. But Impact have definitely shown that at least it's not going to be a pushover here. They are going to give us a game. They're going to give us a series, hopefully.
This Impact team has teamed together before in different iterations. Online Warriors, I'll take you all the way back to last year when they had one of the highest finishes, placing second that time around in one of the online qualifiers. So this team have played together before, and they're very comfortable and know each other's game inside and out. So perhaps with Septic coming in, formerly of J Lings, like you spoke about earlier on, he can add just a little bit more to the roster that they required, because Cloney was there before and it wasn't as successful as they would have liked. So perhaps things can get a little bit better for them. Maybe it can start here, and maybe they can make a run and qualify for Worlds. That's what it's all about.
3 dead again, and Falcate the last remaining player, and he's going to get spotted out. 4 dead for Sentinels, and this could be a round here for Impact. Great position that they're holding at the moment. Respectful, rotating accordingly, knows full well where he needs to be moving and grooving to. And we've got Clutch with us as well, just head over shoulders, checking in on the B stream.
Do you want to say hello, Clutch?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, we do. Impact team showing up.
Impact only requiring 16 more seconds then. With a minute and 20 on the clock. They could start to play Slayer if they want to, and there, the ball's in hand, second time of asking. Ball drop then, shock rifle. Moving towards A and just trying to quell the push of Impact, because this is going to be very, very important. You've only got 1 or 2 good pushes left, or you will run out of time.
They go for a split push at the moment. They tried to distract Boo Boo so that they could cross over towards gold, but because Boo Boo then got that angle with Sparty, Impact have to wait yet again. Although Septic has just got an opener, they have to push quick here whilst there's numbers, but Boo Boo again with this shock has just kept Sentinels alive in this round.
Closing in fast here then. Only 5 seconds separate the 2 teams. Respectful will lose out this time. When gunfights like that start to go against you, you start to worry. Bat ledge going to be a trade then. Numbers still just about, and spawns favouring the boys on Sentinels, but Impact have moved closer to the ball. Shock rifle one not able to connect. Falcate picks up a massive double kill. Just like that, all 4 dead for Impact. They maybe have one more throw at this.
Yeah, one more push. You spawn over towards blue. You've given that information now, so you have to go quickly, and there's just going to be nades waiting for them here. And Falcate on the shock rifle might have just put the final nail in the coffin here for Impact.
Game 1 then. Looks as though it's going to be business as usual for Sentinels with a 2-0 oddball win. Very impressive, but Impact showing that the signs of life there, and they could be a difficult task for anybody in this tournament. But it's Sentinels who go 1 game to the good. 2 away from that clean sweep.
Very impressive start from Impact, but again, Sentinels just showing why they are one of the best teams at this tournament. We'll have to see whether Impact can do a little bit better in map number 2. Just a quick look at the stats. You can see it was very impressive slaying-wise from the blue team, which was Impact. But Sentinels, they were just far more efficient when it came to the objective play.
Any players in particular that stood out there that you would be looking at? Mo's had a very good game, but Falcated as well, 27 and 20.
Falcated always showing up, was amazing last tournament, seems to be carrying it over to this tournament as well, which I think bodes well for Sentinels. I think that that can be a real tough pill to swallow for Impact. When you come that close in a round and then you throw it away in those final moments, those are the kind of games that really suck it out of you. So they just need to take it for what it is. We really challenged the second-seeded team at this tournament, and we played well, but we'll be back with map number 2.
And we're back. Game number 2 then. Sentinels hold a 1-0 series lead. And Impact looking to bounce back into being largely competitive in game number 1, but just not having the objective efficiency you would like to see. Maybe that will come as the tournament progresses. But as it stands, the perfect start for Sentinels. It's 4 kills to 2 and Heatwave for Falcated.
I think as the day goes on, as the weekend goes on, I'm going to see what things I can do in those breaks between maps 1 and 2, and 2 and 3, and maybe 3 and 4. Like a quick bathroom break, maybe. Do you reckon we can get there? A little food break?
That turnaround was pretty quick.
Have a little turn, a little jig on the side. For those of you who don't know, a jig is a dance.
It is. It's Falcated dancing over towards the flag. Although there's no flag there today. Well, it's certainly not right now.
Yeah, and you'd feel like if Impact are going to get a game here, considering how well they played and how well they slayed in map number 1, a Slayer would probably be their best chances. I know it's cliche at this point of lower seeded team should win Slayer or might win Slayer, but it is usually the most open game. It's usually the most fair game when you look at two teams who are varying in kind of skill level, I guess is the best way to put it, as Lethal tries to make it 3 but doesn't quite. The one thing that worries me with Aquarius Slayer is that there is still a very big element of control here, and if you do start to gain a lead, or let's say Sentinels gain a lead, they know how to put this game to bed.
On board, disrespectful, and he's been put to bed. 2 dead for Impact. And already a 6-kill lead for Sentinels. Will just be finding their feet again, going up through the gears. This is the perfect sort of test match for them. So as the tournament progresses, no doubt, the level of competition and opposition will increase. Impact still trying to piece it all together, being a fairly new team, certainly with Septic on the squad, playing mouse and keyboard, and one of the only 2 players who are actually on the keys.
Yeah, mouse and keyboard players, I mean, starting to rise through the ranks a little bit, also starting to appear a bit more in matchmaking, thanks to a couple of larger personalities now playing the game. Of course, Summit has been a big advocate of Halo recently and has been playing a lot of mouse and keyboard, of course. So it is good that we do have a couple of pro players who also use the same input, but 22-11, it's not helping Impact Team much at the moment, and this is what I was worried about. It does tend to snowball out of control a little bit, 24-12 now. If you give Sentinels the freedom to roam around bottom middle, then I think that this game's going to finish quite quickly.
You spoke about the hope and the ambitions of Impact, perhaps taking the Slayer and taking a game, and maybe that will give their confidence the world of good. But as it stands, Sentinels not making that an opportunity for them here. Falcade goes down, Mo's hits some lovely shots, but again, they're scrambled, they're separated, they're fighting in 1v1s, 1v2s. Impact don't really have that teamwork and cohesion down just yet. Lethal soars in, Mo's dips over his head, and the kill will go the way of Lethal. 31-16, and this one got out of hand very quickly.
32-16, you know, you could try and talk about comebacks and what Impact could do to get back in this game. A team like Sentinels does not throw away a position like this. Any team within the top 4 will never throw away a position like this, because if at any point you feel like there's some sort of comeback from the opposition, you just change the pacing a little bit. You start to trade a little bit better. You make sure you're running in pairs. Right now, Sentinels are just playing very loose and free. And that sometimes is even more difficult to come against, because you are playing against a team who almost is not playing in a normal way. You'll be like, well, why the hell were you in Fridge? Why is he waiting around Pink? Why is he suddenly in the base there? It's because they have such an advantage with the amount of kills they have right now. It doesn't really matter where they position themselves. So it's almost like, well, we got the chance to warm up a little bit here for Sentinels. We can run around and we can take 1v1 engagements that perhaps we wouldn't take normally.
They stay in fights. They don't have to back down in because they have such a massive lead. Take up those unorthodox positions that Dan speaks about. Impact can't really punish them. All the damage is being put down on the map, and Lethal still gets that one there. 42-24 for Impact. You're almost looking at saying, GG, what's next? A perfect kill from Spartan, and it's very important for Sentinels to get Spartan cooking early in the tournament because he can be a massive difference maker.
He can. Also 16 kills for Lethal. I mean, gone are the days where Lethal was criticized for not having necessarily the slaying ability that matched his teammates. In fact, he's often the front runner for this Sentinels roster. He really did, I think, get a fire lit inside him after everything that went down, and he has changed. There was a period of time where Lethal was not performing as well as he could have, and I think that everyone knows that, he knows that, and now he is back at a level where he can be considered one of the best players in the world again, and I think that is a great place to be for him, as it's 48 kills to 29. 2 away from tucking this second game to bed, and for Impact Team it's just about thinking about, let's go next, let's start thinking about map number 3.
There is the final kill. Sentinels go 2-0 up in the series. Impact just about avoid the steak dinner. You talking about Lethal, the difference having some confidence can do, and having some teammates to play around that you believe in and that believe in you.
Yeah, and you're always going to have that belief after a second place finish at Salt Lake City, only losing out to Space Station Gaming, who are due a win. Let's be honest, it's been a while, and finally with their new roster they do get that victory. So 18 kills then for Lethal. And that's going to be map 2 concluded. And you know what that means, shows? It means we'll be back later for map number 3. We'll see you then. And she said, no way you're going to... Oh, sorry, everyone. We are back and we're into it. Map number 3, Sentinels versus Impact. And we've got some fine action on our screens once more. But are we going to see Impact have an impact here at map number 3?
We don't have the ability to call for listenings over on the B stream, Dan. But I can imagine if we went to a Team Impact listening, what it would sound like. Something like, you know, respectful saying, can't be asked, man. You know, things like that.
Guys, someone grab the sniper. Kimbo's not on my team anymore, but we've still got the lower Septic. You just got to take his role, buddy.
Classic Brandon stuff. Anyway, Dan's back anyway.
Hi, everyone.
Kimbo, again, hitting some shots despite the fact not being here. Always great to see the German on our screens, but unfortunately not able to make it this time around. And Septic continues to hit shots on the mouse and keys. Playing it like a drum. Killing spree for him. Lovely start, but not much time allotted in the hill, top middle. And again, despite the fact that Septic was able to lock in 5 kills, it's Sentinels who hold the hill and hold the right spawns here. They have glass control and ensuring Impact spawn over towards blue and indeed S1.
I always think when we come onto Solitude, I'm like, well, what Halo 5 players do we have? But for the most part, I mean, I think most Halo Infinite players played Halo 5.
There's an issue here, I would say, for Mo's and Respectful.
There's no Storm Rifles.
No Storm Rifles, no SMGs, no shotguns.
I will say, I do give them a lot of grief because at the start of Halo 5...
Because they camped in flowers, Dan.
They did.
With shotguns and storm rifles and lit me up anytime I walked in.
They ruined my matchmaking. There was a period of time right at the start of Halo 5 where I was considering competing.
Yeah.
And the likes of Mo's, Respectful, Lunny, with their storm rifles and assault rifles, ruined my life.
Yep.
And thankfully I got the chance to commentate instead, so I didn't have to go up against them because I'm sure it would have been even more painful on land. But they did find a way to make it work consistently throughout Halo 5, and as we alluded to earlier, Mo's and Respectful, they were 2 players who had the highest placements in European Halo back in the day in Halo 5.
And top 16 hasn't been the same without you, I'll be honest.
You say top 16?
What?
You say that like I used to place badly. You know I placed well, right?
Yeah, because you team with players that had high seeding points and carried you to victory, most likely.
Once Riot's carried me, definitely, but hey, A4D was an absolute gem of a team. That is European history. The likes of Az, Valadan, Wonder Boy was even on A4D.
Wonder Boy,
Jules.
there's a name.
Come on, man, don't disrespect A4D. Buck 20.
You're just naming European players.
Just naming all the players that were the greats of all 4 down. One of the best teams to ever grace European Halo. Anyway, 3 down for Impact, and this first hill looks like it should go in favor of Sentinels here. It's always a pretty tricky hill to get hold of if you don't have teammates that are prepared to put their bodies on the line, which happens a lot for me in matchmaking, but now they've got that first secured. That is such a big point because it usually takes so much amount of time to get the first hill on the board here on Solitude.
And the teammate Dan's alluding to is Wes Price, who refused to get in the hill at any point in time.
I'm not going to call out Clutch. I will call out Walshy though. Walshy could definitely do a little bit more objective. But
he just sat S4 the entire game.
When I get to play with Clutch and Walshy, I'm playing with 2 greats of the game, or at least 1 great of the game and 1 who had 1 good tournament. But sometimes you are just remembered for 1 good tournament, and that's all you need, and maybe that's what Impact Team could have. Whilst, you know, Sentinels is a tall order, I still am very impressed with what we've seen from Impact so far. All jokes aside, I think that this is a team that have 4 players who really want to find success again, and maybe it could be that perfect blend to find themselves back considered as one of the top European teams again.
Just wanted to give Booba some time to line that one up. This isn't the series that Impact Team will be judged on. No. They're not by any means expected to win this, or even take a map. With how good Sentinels are, and just showing how professional they are playing against Impact as well, not taking the foot off the gas and treating them like they would anybody else.
Yeah, I think that in game 1, maybe Sentinels were like, all right, this isn't going to be as much of a walkover as perhaps we once thought. We're going to have to up the ante a little bit, and I think they've definitely improved going into map 2 and 3. And that's unfortunate for Impact Team. If they had been able to take that map 1, then, you know, I think their Sentinels might have been a little bit frustrated, and then you can always go into mentality things then. But I think that after that game 1 went the way of Sentinels, it was probably only going to follow 1 order after that.
You see, Flux had an opportunity to step into the hill there, but didn't take it. They had a couple dead, and it's things like that. We talk about objective efficiency, talking about trying to use all the advantages you have, and now they've gone 3 dead, and Sentinels have broken the setup wide open. It's like they haven't. They decide not to play for the win and play for the hill. It's like they recognize this one's already gone and want to start from the next one. And it's interesting to watch. It can be frustrating to watch as well. Boo with snipe, top gold. It was a body shot, and that was enough. Teammate was on hand to pick it up. 2-0 the lead. Sentinels again have eyes, feet inside the 3rd hill for the time being. Boo steps out for a moment. Look to re-challenge, but will ultimately lose his life, and it'll be to his demise.
There are definitely some hills that you can leave and then set up for next. This isn't really one of them. I think that if you leave the previous down in runway and you try and set up for this, it's such a difficult hill to really get a setup for because there's so much open area, so many angles you can get naded from. If you spawn down at runway, you can bank nades off into the hill. If you spawn over towards truck, you can bank nades into the hill. If you spawn up at flowers, you can bank nades into the hill and drop into the hill. There's a lot of ways of getting the hill guy out. So Sentinels securing that amount of time early on after the 4 dead onto Impact was massive for them. And it's almost like Impact were indecisive whether they wanted to try and play for that previous hill or not, as Septic trying to show off his mouse and keyboard skills again. 15 kills, by the way, for Septic. He's certainly not struggling individually in this game.
One thing Sentinels have done is opened up blue spawns. Impact have done a great job of rotating around and getting into Cafe, which is exactly where you want to be when this hill is up. Try and reap the rewards to get the most time that you possibly can. Falcated though inside blue now and will ensure spawns will now be blocked. That's perfect for Sentinels. Now looks out window, a couple of shots received, also answering back with some damage of his own. With Pulsar play will not push him far enough, and they will trade it out. Will Respectful and Falcated. But time very much against Impact Team here, with not only the hill very much in control of Sentinels, but shot clock 27 seconds remaining in the game.
Flux trying to give Booby Dooby the wiggles. 4 dead for Impact, 20 seconds remaining. And this game is all but over at this point. Sentinels just need to keep Impact out of the hill. And it is, as I said, one of those hills that is very easy to do so when you're in the right areas to bank those grenades.
You did speak about banking grenades.
And a lot of banking to be done here on the B stream today.
Lots of finance. Don't get your tips from Dan Gaskin, I tell you that. Time will just dwindle down. Respectful's in the hill trying to make a hero play, but it's all in vain as Sentinels do complete the clean sweep, and they looked as good as we expected.
And the team who were second at Salt Lake City continue here in Fort Worth in fine form and sweeping aside 3-0 against Impact Team, which is what, as Richie said, we expected. I think a lot of people would have expected. But what we did learn is that Impact really showed some promise, and I'm excited to see what they can do against Complexity later on in the tournament.
Well, Sentinels go 1-0 in Pool B, and Impact go 0-1. Up next for both teams will be Complexity at some point and an open bracket team. But it's Sentinels with a 3-0 clean sweep. We'll be back with the next series right after this.